The purpose of the state is not to dominate, but to ensure freedom and security for all. The end of the state is, in truth, freedom. In a free society, everyone should be allowed to think what they wish and say what they think, for it is impossible for a man to give up his judgment and his natural right to think freely. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice and mutual respect. For peace is a virtue that arises from strength of mind and the rule of reason. Happiness is not the result of reason or calculation, but of the natural flow of our passions and sentiments. It is a state of mind, not a condition of the world. The more we understand individual things, the more we understand God. For the knowledge of an effect depends on and involves the knowledge of its cause. Emotions are not inherently good or bad. They become so depending on how they affect our power to act. By emotion, I mean the modifications of the body by which the power of acting is increased or diminished. Hate can never be good because it diminishes our ability to understand and connect with others. He who hates is necessarily troubled and weakened. The mind's highest good is the knowledge of God, and its highest virtue is to know God. For the more the mind understands, the more it loves, and the more it loves, the more it understands. We are not free because we can choose. We are free when we understand the causes of our actions. Desire is the very essence of man. Desire is appetite with consciousness thereof, and appetite is the very essence of man. The more each person strives to seek their own advantage, the more they are united with others. For the more each one seeks their own advantage, the more they are useful to one another. Virtue is human power, defined by reason, through which we strive to preserve our being. The foundation of virtue is the endeavor to preserve one's own being, and happiness consists in the ability to do so. The highest activity a human being can attain is learning for understanding, because to understand is to be free. The more the mind understands, the more it is conscious of its own power and the order of nature. All things excellent are as difficult as they are rare, for if salvation were at hand and could be found without great labor, how could it be that it is neglected by almost everyone? The mind's power is determined by its knowledge, and its weakness by its lack of knowledge, for the mind's power is defined by its understanding, and its weakness by its privation of knowledge. True knowledge is not just about facts, it's about understanding the causes and connections between things. The more we know, the less we are subject to passive emotions like fear and anger. The mind is a kind of theatre, where several perceptions successively make their appearance, pass, repass, glide away, and mingle in an infinite variety of postures and situations. Everything in the universe is determined by necessity. There is no such thing as chance. In nature, there is nothing contingent, but all things are determined by the necessity of the divine nature to exist and act in a certain way. The more we understand the necessity of things, the more we are free from the illusions of chance and fate. For freedom is the recognition of necessity, not the absence of constraints. Man is not a kingdom within a kingdom. He is part of nature and subject to its laws. For man is not a special creation, but a mode of the infinite substance that is God or nature. God is not a person or a being outside of nature. God is nature itself. Whatever is in God, and nothing can exist or be conceived without God. Nature has no fixed goal, and all final causes are nothing but human fictions. Nature does nothing for the sake of an end, for that eternal and infinite being which we call God or nature acts by the same necessity as that by which it exists. God does not act out of will or desire. God acts out of necessity according to the laws of nature. For the will of God is nothing but the necessity of nature itself. God is the immanent cause of all things, not a transcendent one. God is not outside the world, but is the world itself, acting through its own laws. The free man thinks of nothing less than death, and his wisdom is a meditation on life. The wise man, insofar as he is considered as such, is scarcely troubled in spirit, but being conscious of himself and of God and of things by a certain eternal necessity, never ceases to be. I'm grateful for the moments shared in discourse. May our paths cross again in the fullness of time.